You're always welcome at this committee, and we will always hear what you have to say. Thank you. You know, this is a multiple-step process. So today the committee has moved in one direction, and obviously we still have more work to do. Your testimony helps us to get there. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Bonta.
Ms. Lundell, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for sharing your story. Thank you.
And Mr. Greg Thompson, floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman Thurman and Assemblyman Bonta, for sticking with us. My name is Greg Thompson. I'm the Executive Director of the LA County Public Authority, and I'm also representing the California Association of Public Authorities, CAPA. And I want to thank Nicole Vasquez for having me on the committee and Karen Kiesler for giving up her spot. I'm going to try to keep my comments a little bit brief at the risk of, you know, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. But I have some things that I think are important for you to know as you proceed. Before I was a public authority director, I was a social work director at Rancho Los Amigos Medical Center. Before that, I was a 22-year-old kid laying in bed with a halo vest bolted to my head after breaking my neck and trying to figure out what I was going to do now. I only mention the latter because I think it's important to know that these entitlement programs, or what's sometimes referred to as welfare, they're also safety nets for individuals like myself who, for 4 years, was on many of the programs that you're going to talk about, other people are going to be talking about today, and it helped me get back on my feet, so to speak. I've been working full-time now for 32 years. I've gotten married. I've had children. I've bought houses. I've paid a lot of taxes. And now I'm trying to put three kids through college. So I think it was an investment, and these programs work on many, many levels. And today, I'm here to ask you to help the governor do the right thing, and that is to restore the 7% cut of the IHSS hours, and I realize you've made the motion. However, it's contingent on the approval of the managed care organizational tax, and I feel very strongly that 7% hours to IHSS should be restored irregardless of that. It shouldn't have been taken in the first place, and so I think the money should be given back because that's the right thing to do. Another issue is there are a lot of people in Los Angeles County that would like to come and testify to this issue, but unfortunately it's difficult for them to travel. And so we've tried to do a couple of things. One, we interviewed 5 people and we made a short videotape, which I'm going to leave with you on a disc, or you can go to our webpage, and I really hope you'll watch it. The second thing we did is we tried to get some real-time statistics, and so we surveyed people on a registry, and in 24 hours we got back about 120 responses. Simply, we just sent out a note asking, stating that the governor of the state of California and the legislators are thinking about giving back IHSS that they cut. Help us convince them to give back the 7% they took. And we just asked them to tell us, how the 7% cut in service hours left them less time, and they had 5 things to choose from. Bathing, grooming, bowel and bladder care, help with transfers and moving in bed, helping with shopping, meal prep, helping with medication. And I'm going to leave this with you also. It's broken down in bar graphs, but so you'll actually get a sense for how this program affected people. But the real interesting and surprising thing to me is they had an opportunity to leave comments, and there's about 4 or 5 pages of comments that are on this document, and you must read these to really get a sense for the people you serve and what how they were affected when legislature tries to balance the budget on the backs of people with disabilities. Finally, one of the mandates that public authorities have is to do criminal background checks. And in 2009, IHS registry applicants began to have to go through criminal background checks that were performed by the Department of Justice. They have to pass these tests. They also have to pay for them. They have to pay the live scan vendors, and depending on the vendors, anywhere from $15 to $45, and then the Department of Justice is paid $32. However, currently, the $32 that the providers pay is going into the general fund, and the Department of Justice has had to absorb the cost of processing the criminal background checks. And this is a problem because providers can't get paid until they pass the criminal background checks. And in Los Angeles, we had one provider last year that took a year and a half. Now, can you imagine working for a year and a half without getting paid? And in Los Angeles, we processed just this fiscal year, starting in July, 17,813 CBIs, and 4,265 of those were delayed. That's 24%. So CAPA is sponsoring AB 47, and this would allow DOJ to receive the funds paid by the IHSS providers. And we believe that providing extra resources to the Department of Justice will help expedite the criminal background check process. Now, since this bill has minor impact to the state general fund, around a little less than $3 million, we may be seeking your assistance in the Budget Subcommittee to make sure that the Department of Justice gets the resources they need to process their criminal background checks in a timely manner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson, and we look forward to ongoing conversation about anything that we can do to make sure that anyone who's doing this great work doesn't have to endure long periods before they can be paid. So I appreciate you saying that, and the folks who couldn't be here from LA were well represented today. We appreciate your testimony. I did want to kind of circle back to something that you mentioned in your remarks, and that the action today taken by the committee to move forward on the 7% restoration is a recommendation regardless of funding source, not linked to just what happens with the MCO tax. I wanted to say that for anyone who is here today to know that. And so,
thank you for clarifying it. Apparently I did try to snatch defeat out of victory out of the jaws of defeat. Thank you for clarifying that.
we know what you meant. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Thank you. It's great to also have another resident and constituent and great advocate for Californians here. And would like to give Ms. Deborah Doctor an opportunity to have a few remarks before the committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, who is my assemblyman, and Mr. Bonta also. Deborah Doctor from Disability Rights California. In 1999, the United States Supreme Court, in a decision that's come to be known as Olmstead, said that it is illegal discrimination to force people with disabilities, including seniors, to receive services in an institution when they can be served at home. The IHSS program is the cornerstone of whatever compliance California has with the Olmstead decision. So the votes you have taken today are absolutely in step with that decision and the 25th anniversary with the Americans with Disabilities Act, which happens on July 26th this year. So I thank you very much for those. On the restoration, we were absolutely in favor of that, and as you go forward through the full budget committee and the floor, if there are people who say that there isn't money to pay this outside the MCO tax, you can point out to them that if there's general fund money to support nursing homes, there should be general fund money to support in-home supportive services. That's what Olmstead says. There is one issue about the overtime which I need to bring up. I know you've already taken the vote on this. There is the overtime regulations, the overtime law, the way it was voted in, it wasn't an intended consequence, but there was harm that was going to be done to a small group of people. And your motion fixes it for the parents of maybe multiple children on IHSS. But there is a range of other people where the limits would have hurt them. We have had clients where there is a son taking care of two elderly parents who will not let anybody else in the home. or a woman taking care of her spouse and her parent, or a sibling and her spouse. And none of those people would be protected the way the law was passed. And if your motion is to implement the law the way it was written, those people are still going to be harmed. CDSS and DHCS were working very well and with us towards a solution which would protect those people. So I hope you will consider requiring a fix for everybody, not just parents, so that there is nobody harmed by the implementation of overtime. And the last thing I want to bring up, since I don't have to persuade you about the restoration, obviously, is another issue which is not on the agenda. And it's the IHSS share of cost buyout. A few years ago, the legislature, when times were very bad, decided to suspend what was called the IHSS share of cost buyout. And as simply as I can explain this, when there isn't a share of cost buyout, as there is not now for people who have gotten on the program since 2009, if it's somebody who has income above, say, SSI level, somebody who has Social Security disability or some other income, and they're on IHSS, they have to pay a share of cost. And previous to 2009, they had to pay down to the SSI level, which is a pretty low level. But when the share of cost buyout was suspended, now they have to spend down to $600 a month. That's all they have to live on. And these are people who have incomes, because they worked or pensions or whatever, and they are put in a position of having less to live on than people on SSI. They are expected to live on $600 a month. It's a very small amount of money to restore in terms of the state budget, but it's a huge amount in terms of the people who are now made to live on $600 a month. So I ask for your consideration of a restoration of the share of cost buyout, and thank you very much again for the actions you've taken today.
Thank you, Mr. Doctor, and thank you for raising some other unfinished business that we'll need to continue in our ongoing conversation about IHSS. Thank you. Anything from Finance?
Hi, Mr. Chair. Brandon Nunes with Finance again. Just wanted to get on record to say that respectfully we wouldn't be able to support the two actions taken on this item and the previous one. We'd be happy to work with staff on any technical issues related to scoring and trailer bill. Thanks.
Your comments are noted. Notwithstanding, we're recommending moving forward. Anything from you, Ms. Kasserwani?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Rashi Kasserwani with the Legislative Analyst's Office. We understand the subcommittee's action today is taken regardless of funding source. We'd simply like to note that our office generally finds the governor's approach for restructuring the MCO tax to be a reasonable way of raising revenues needed to restore service hours from the 7% reduction. I also want to note that my colleague Felix Sue is available should members have any questions related to the MCO tax proposal. Thank you.
So noted and on the record, and thank you. Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, we will take public comment. We will 1 minute for each speaker, and since we did take two actions and we recognize that folks might want to speak on them, we will allow anyone to speak on any of the issues related to IHSS. Hey, if you don't feel moved to speak, that's fine too, but we don't want anyone who has come here today with a message that they want to be heard in regard to IHSS to not have the opportunity to do so. So with that, we will now take public comment, 1 minute for each speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Recognizing all board panel, all the elected officials, and everyone who spoke so far. Thank you so much for the important votes that you have taken and the action that you're moving forward with. I do want to throw caution to the wind in the event that the governor decides to want to challenge what's been decided by your vote. I just want you to remind him that he came to ULTCW, United Long-Term Care Workers Union, along with all of the other unions in the state of California, and he asked us to support him in getting legislature passed to put Proposition 30 on the ballot so that it would increase revenues to avoid cutting the 7%. I would ask you to remind him of that because we delivered and we did come through. I would also ask that you remind him that when he wanted to make history, we decided to help him do that, and we helped re-elect him for a second time so that he could make history. And finally, I would just like to say, when it comes to the overtime issue, if he was to pick up a cup of coffee or pick up a glass from drink or wash out a glass, he's not reduced to a domestic worker. He's still a governor, and so are we. Thanks.
I'm going to be translating for
My name is Alan Wilson. Yo cuido a mi hijo que tiene 44 años. Él tiene diabetes y usa mascarilla para dormir en la noche.
I take care of my son. My name is Alan Wilson. I take care of my son who's 42 years old, and he uses a mask to breathe at night. I provide care for him.
Y también tiene diabetes y hay que hacerlo, hacer ejercicio, cambiarle la ropa para la ropa interior y bañarlo, darle de comida.
He requires a lot of care from me. I take care of him 24/7 because he has diabetes as well as other number of problems where I have to constantly change his underwear, and he requires a special diet that I need to take care of as well.
También quiero agradecerle por la devolución del 7. Estoy muy agradecido por eso y le deseo felicidades a todos los deshabilitados, porque es un buen triunfo. Gracias.
And that's why I thank you for taking the motion of restoring the 7% cut, because that's a very something that I need and that all the providers need for their patients who they take care of. And so I'm very grateful that you passed the not reducing us a cut, not cutting us 7%. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Member Bonta and Chairman Thurman, members of the committee, my name is Rick Hodgkins, disability rights advocate, disability rights activist, and disability rights extremist. I support the motion you took to restore the 7% IHSS cut. I think it's cheaper and more humane to allow people to stay in their homes rather than institutionalize them, as we talked about last week with the DCs. With regards to the overtime issue, if Obama mandates that we provide overtime, let's not flout the overtime, and this also goes for supported living for us in the developmental disability community. If Obama mandates that we provide overtime, let's not flout that. Let's just do what Obama says. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Belen, and I'm a home care provider of my daughter, Gina. I would like to thank the committee today for taking action that will hopefully help bring us the overtime we deserve. Governor Brown used up and out of state ruling to deny us the overtime he promised, sent the wrong message to caregivers and the public. His actions said that we are not equal and deserving of the same overtime protections that all other workers receive. We know that isn't true. We have fought long and hard for many years to gain the dignity and respect our workers deserve. And last year we had finally achieved a milestone. It's time California moves forward and immediately ends the second-class status of caregivers. I hope that today's support of our equal treatment is a step forward in recognizing the important work we do and by not leaving us behind. Thank you.
Members of the committee, my name is Chris Jensen. I'm here on behalf of Resources for Independent Living. We're an independent living center providing resources to people with disabilities in Sacramento and Yolo counties. Thank you for the motions, and we're in support of those. And we are also in support of Deborah Doctor's comments in regards to the sheriff cost buyout, which I think is something to take a look at, even though it wasn't on the agenda. So thank you very much. Just wanted to go on record with that.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Keith Saffold. I'm an IHSS home care provider out of San Francisco. I ask that you restore the 7% for my client, because it takes from my client, but the quality of care I give my client, the responsibilities I do for my client, and the duties I have for my client, that doesn't take a cut at all. So we ask that you restore that so I can continue to give her the quality of life and assistance that I give her. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, members. My name is Ernestine Stewart. I am a care provider for my daughter for the last 10 years of her life. She was involved in a hit-and-run accident that left her paralyzed. So therefore, she needs 24-hour care. So I ask that you restore, that the 7% be restored, because if she needs 24 hours of care and you take away 7% of what she is given, which is the max, so therefore she needs that care. She can't be left alone. That causes problems and issues there that would jeopardize her safety and her life and well-being. And if you place her in a facility, that would cost you far more to give her care. And I appreciate and thank you for your support and what you're doing. And as far as the overtime, I'm a over 30-year veteran as a nurse, and I'm qualified to take care of her. So, I appreciate it if we could get treated equally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joanne Hanna. I take care of 3 moderately mentally retarded children in my home, and I'd like to thank you for what you've done today. And maybe I can have better hours so that I can pay my monthly bills, my rent, and have some money left so I can have somebody come in and take care of my kids. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Brenda Garner. I am without a job right now, and I'm looking for a client to take care of, to give them the quality care that I can. Do you all know anyone that needs a care provider? First of all, where I can get the quality and respect and dignity for its being employment and in-home supportive service. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Reina Pacheco, and I come here to plead to restore that 7%. And this caregiving business is a labor of love. We're not getting rich doing this work. It's a labor of love, and we're already the lowest of the low. How low can we go? That's a slap on the face. If he really, or governor, or whoever makes decisions, want to cut money from other resources, how about stopping all these wars and pick wherever the money disappears to deep pockets? But it really hurts me that they're slapping us on the face by cutting our human beings, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say, and it just breaks my heart. Excuse me, I don't have the words to explain myself. I do have words, but I can't say them here. But
Please wrap up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Frances Smith. I'm the director of the Public Authority in Yolo County, which is a very small county. I'm speaking for myself, but I've had the backing of the advisory committee to make these comments. The way the law was written in California to implement overtime would harm some people. Deborah told you about some of them. In Yolo County, because we're small, I know a lot of our providers. A good number of them are older women, single women. They have to work for more than one or two consumers to aggregate enough hours to live on. They would be harmed if the cap on overtime, as it currently is in the law, would be implemented. And I hope you will think about reconsidering that. Thank you.
My name is John Joseph. I'm with AARP California and wish to state that on behalf of 3.8 million members in California, we're in full support of the restoration. However, I'm also a parent of a 38-year-old adult with Down syndrome, so I'm kind of echoing Ms. Lundell's comments about taking care of that individual. Back when the 7% cut took place, I met with a social worker for our annual visit, and I was surprised because I knew the 7% was coming. There was additional threats before that, 20%, everything else being under attack to take care of a deficit situation by cutting the most poor folks that render care. I'm not in that category. I'm retired from the state, but I have contact with a lot of those people, and I can understand people that actually live solely on the
Please conclude
on the
your
amount
remarks.
of money that's received for this. So I thank you for your 7% reduction, your 7% restoration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mary Ellen McLaughlin, and good afternoon to all of you. I'm a care provider at Stanislaus County, and I don't work for family. I had to go through a career change, and due to my education level, I knew caregiving was something I could go into. I was divorced and needed to work. I didn't have time to get educated to make more money. So I went into caregiving at $9 an hour. I've been doing it now over 10 years. And the concern I have is there's no sick pay in the program. And I know they were talking about 3 days sick pay. But the bottom line is we take our patients to the hospital and to the doctor appointments, and we're subjected to germs constantly. I have 2 recipients. It's not uncommon for me to have to go to the doctor's office, 2 separate ones in a day. I work 7 days a week. I'm going to be 60 years old here. And with all the changes that have been implemented, it's hard for somebody my age to live. Obamacare has made it so that I have to pay $178 a month for a $3,000 deductible before anything's covered. I have a home, I have car insurance, I spend my own gas money to take my clients to the doctor because we don't get compensated for, and when I go from one client to another client, I spend my own gas money. I was hoping for some restoration where sick leave, maybe some bereavement. When my clients die, your pay stops that day. I don't have a check coming the next day. If I don't have another client, I'm on unemployment and I'm looking for work, but unemployment doesn't pay much on $10 an hour. How can you expect a woman who's worked her whole life, I'm single now, to live? I paid taxes all year out of my check. They took money, I claimed one. I still owe $2,500 more. I made $25,000 last year, and I had to pay $2,500 more. Plus, I'm having to pay for medical, and I get nothing till after I spent $3,000.
Could I ask you to make your final comments, please?
I'm sorry. I'm
It's
just
okay.
frustrated as a care provider. I feel for the work that we do and the compassion and the care that we give, we should be treated as equals, not discriminated against. And in-home support service care providers are the only ones that don't have sick leave. They don't have medical. They don't have dental. They don't have things that society needs to live. And I have so many medical bills that are in collections right now because I don't have the funds. What do? I had perfect credit. I've owned 2 homes and 3 businesses prior to my job change.
If I'm happy to hear more about it, I'll ask you to speak to Mr. McGraw from my office if you have other concerns, but I want to make sure we get all the speakers in, so I'd like to ask you to
Thank you,
conclude,
and I'm
please.
sorry I took so long.
No apologies needed. Thank you so much.
Hello. I'm short. Hello, my name is Rosalia Rodriguez. I am in the union, as you already know, and I've been a provider for 17 years. And my issue, I want to thank you very much for taking the time of voting for the 7% restoration and also for overtime. Governor Brown, I knew his dad. Governor Brown made a promise to all in-home caregivers that he was going to give us our overtime and also reinstate our 7% cut. Being that he's the governor, he should be held accountable for what he has promised. And I find it very hard to believe that his heart is not in the right place. He's actually thinking about his little train. But anyway, that's what I think. I think he should be accountable for what he says. Thank you very much also for all for you supporting us.
Thank you.